560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Lael Brainerd is Mr. 10%, the big guy, President Biden's top economic advisor. She was on CNBC yesterday responding to the news that inflation ticked down slightly to 3.1% year over year. And she said this.
I feel like the underlying trend lines in inflation are good. We've seen grocery prices come down. We've seen prices at the pump come down. We've seen some of the core areas moving back down to pre-pandemic levels.
No. So, again, I these are people with great economic credentials. You understand that 3.1% increase is not a decrease. So what's happening is the price increases are slowing in terms of pace, but it's still an increase.
Right.
And under Biden, food prices are up more than 20%, gas prices just under $1 a gallon. But okay, Lael, whatever you say. What does Steve Moore say? Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author, joins us now. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Prices are coming down, the administration says.
So, the prices are not coming down, but the rate of increase is coming down. You explained it very well, Dan. The problem for the Biden administration is now we have basically a 20% increase in prices that are cooked into the books. In other words, you'd have to have deflation to get back to the prices we had before Biden was president. And you've had a situation now where roughly 23 of the last 26 months, people's paychecks have not been growing fast as the cost of living. And that means people have to do either two things. They have to either cut back on their spending, which most Americans are not doing, or they have to go further into debt. And they are doing that. We all, as collectively as a country, are massively going into debt. Most of your listeners probably know that our credit card debt is now $1.1 trillion. More and more Americans, there's a report out last week that more and more Americans are tapping into their 401k plans early to get cash so they can spend money. That's a terrible way to get cash because you're going to pay a huge tax penalty for taking money out before you reach retirement age. So, yeah, there's a lot of financial stress on middle-class Americans. And, as we've talked about so many times, Amy, when you're paying $8 for a box of cereal, that kind of thing puts real financial stress on middle-class America.
Well, with food prices being up, as Dan just mentioned, 20%, that's just going to be the new normal now?
Yeah, I mean, get used to it, folks, because now, look, we did get some good news on the inflation front that at least, we're not looking at 9% inflation like we had last year. I mean, those were hugely problematic numbers. The inflation rate has come down. We're still at somewhere between 3 to 3.5% inflation, depending on how you want to measure it. And the Federal Reserve Board target for inflation is 2%. By the way, let's not forget that when Trump left office, the inflation rate was 1.6%.
Right.
That's a lot. So it's twice as high as it was when Trump left office, and it reached up to 9%. You're still paying $1 to $1.50 a gallon more for gasoline. You're still paying a lot more for groceries. You're still try to get a airplane reservation for the Christmas vacation. I was just looking at I can't believe how much these airlines are charging. So it's everywhere.
One other thing you can do, though, is you can move to Argentina. How about this Javier Milei out of the gate, man? He is leaving a trail of fire behind him like Ghost Rider. He eliminated 12 of the 21 essentially cabinet level agencies right out of the gate. Now he rolled out a measure to completely balance Argentina's budget in 2024. an austerity program that would be equivalent of $1.4 trillion in spending cuts in this country, letting go of every public employee who has been employed for less than a year, abolishing all government publicity and related spending for projects. Appointed government positions are cut by 34%. No more transfers to local governments. Suspension of public infrastructure, which is riddled with corruption there. Reduction of energy and transport subsidies. I mean, this guy is sounds like he's the real deal. At least he's trying to be.
Yeah, so I just want to correct you on one thing. Shame on you, Dan. You called this an austerity agenda. No,
Well,
it's a prosperity agenda.
Yeah, right. Yes, right.
You're using the language of, oh my gosh, we can't have austerity.
Yeah,
they use that word. They say austerity for government, and that gives them cardiac arrest. But this is an amazing experiment that's going on there. They also want to dollarize their economy, which would be really smart. Because right now, they have like 250. You think we got inflation problems here, Amy? They have a 250% annual inflation rate. So the peso today, the Argentine peso, is almost not even worth the paper it's written on. And so, but this is cool. I mean, if he pulls this off, Argentina could become another economic powerhouse. At one, you go back 50 years ago, Argentina was a very prosperous country, and of course, then they made the mistakes of putting the Perones in, the Peronistas. And by the way, just as an aside, how is it that somehow Eva Perón became some kind of cult hero? She was the worst. She impoverished the Argentine people. Now we make Broadway plays out of her as if she's some kind of a hero. But that's how the left has infiltrated every cultural institution in America. But no, I'm excited about what's happening in Argentina. And we need to do a bit of that here. We need to really take a sledgehammer and a chainsaw to this budget. I'm so sick, Dan. They're talking, here we're running, a $2 trillion deficit, and they're arguing about, oh, well, can we afford $20 billion cut for this? No, you got to put an extra zero on those cuts. I mean, we got to get very serious about getting this economy, standing up again, and that's by really substantially reducing this spending. And incidentally, I'm also in favor. Where are you guys on this issue of the Ukraine funding? Because I'm either not for funding for Ukraine, or if we are going to fund Ukraine, I think we have to pay for it with every penny of it has to be coming out of other government programs, Dan.
Yeah, I agree with that. That would be easy enough to do. $61 billion is chump change in the grand scheme of things. So I agree with that. And also, I mean, of course, the predicate to even having that conversation is policy change with respect to border security. Otherwise, I'm not even interested in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just what I'm saying is that, they're talking about how they're going to save, pennies when they need to be saving dollars and tens of dollars, in terms of magnitude. What they're talking about cutting. I mean, we're looking at another $2 trillion of debt added this year, and we're supposed to be in a recovery. Here, Biden said, "Oh, everything's so good for the economy." Okay, if the economy is so good, why are we throwing $2 trillion?
Well, here's the thing, though, that you're not considering the green energy revolution that's upon us. I saw this blurb in your Unleash Prosperity newsletter. We're finally starting to see dividends from the $5 billion that President Biden allocated to build charging stations.
Yeah, this is an amazing story. So what was the amount of spending again? I forgot what.
$5 billion?
$5 billion. That's chump change too, but $5 billion, and they authorized this a couple of years ago. You know how many charging stations there are that have been paid for? One.
Oh,
they
boy.
found one. They spotted. It's like, where's Waldo? Where is it? It's in some town outside of Columbus, Ohio. They finally installed one charging station. Lord knows what happened to the other $4.95 billion. But the other, story.
Well, the revolution takes some time to get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other story is, last week at the climate change, I think it's over, right?
Yeah, it ended.
The climate change. 80,000 people, by the way, went to that and drank, champagne and ate caviar and talked about how much they care about the climate while they flew in on their private jets. You couldn't even get into Dubai, in the UAE with the airplanes were so full. And anyway, they have, the Biden administration said, we're not going to build any more coal plants in the United States, no more. So that's 20% of our energy they're going to wipe out. And then they declared war on natural gas because they said no more methane emissions. So that's another 40%. So,
how are they going to build those charging stations then?
Well, but they said there no oil, no coal, no gas.
Yeah,
that's the
no
goal. But they don't know how
too.
they're going to pay for it.
No
pay for it,
cows.
like how are we going to live?
Yeah,
for
don't
that?
forget about the cows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we get 60 to 65% of our electric power across the country with coal and with natural gas. This country was built on coal, and so now they want to wipe those out, and so that takes away 60. If my math is right, that takes away over half of your electric power supply. At the same time, these morons, these pinheads, want to put the entire transportation system on the electric grid. I mean, if you massively increase the demand and massively reduce the supply, you're going to have. You think California has brownout, blackout problems? Folks, when you wake up in the morning, try to, on a cold December morning, try to turn your heat on. There's nothing going to come out. I mean, this is really scary stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, it maybe the problem with the charging stations, only one being built in 2 years with $5 billion in financing. Maybe they made a mistake when they enlisted the construction crews that were building affordable housing in L.A. because it took them 17 years to build 49 housing units. They're supposed to be at 450,000 at this point. I think I saw the number was something like $600,000 per unit. For these affordable housing units, the 49 that have been built after 17 years. So again, the wonders of government-directed, private sector, public sector partnerships, which we love to talk about.
Oh, I got another one for you. Remember they've been talking for the last 10, 15 years about building this bullet train from Los Angeles to San Francisco. And so it started out, it was going to cost They had a ballot referendum, and the experts said, it's going to cost $20 billion. And the taxpayers in California, they're already broke, but they said, okay, yeah, we'll pay $20 billion for that. Oh, no, a couple of years, it's not going to be 20, it's going to be 40. No, not 40, 60, 80. Now it's up to over $100 billion. And guess what? The train isn't going to go from Los Angeles to San Francisco because they can't get it over the mountains there. And so it's going to go to two towns that nobody even lives in. I forget the Merced and some other places that aren't even close to San Francisco and Los Angeles. Great planning, guys. Over $100 billion for a train that doesn't go to the two destinations that you said it was going to. That's government at its finest.
I'm still waiting for the bullet train that was proposed 15 years ago in Illinois to go from Chicago to Toledo, because the problem in Chicago is you can't get to Toledo fast enough. And
no, the problem is you can't get out of Toledo fast.
Well, who goes to Toledo? I mean, no offense.
we all would if we had that bullet train. That's the whole point. Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Thanks for joining us, Steve. Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. You too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team.